Hey, what is up, guys? A little different layout. We don't have Travis here today, but it's just me. But I'm excited about this show. We've got a couple guys from the Big Bass 250 this year. We've got our second and third place representatives. We're gonna get in and talk to them, but trying something different with some stuff going on. But I'm excited about this one. Looking forward to talking to Adam and Jordan. So let's go ahead and get these guys in here and just get going on it. Jordan, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Hey, thanks for taking time out of your fishing schedule to grace us with your presence. But glad to have you on here, man.
Good to be here.
Cool, man. Adam, man, what's up? How are you doing?
Doing good. Just can't wait to get fishing again.
Yeah, man. It's the off season. I haven't been fishing lately. I've been cleaning reels and getting other stuff lined out like that. But yeah, definitely ready to get back at it. And it seems like it's gonna be forever until the spring comes around. But both of you guys had really good showings at the Big Bass 250. Really glad you guys came and were a part of that. And our second year seems like we've grown a little bit. Haven't hit that 250 mark, but we're excited to get there. But Jordan, we're gonna start off with you, man. You are you're a hammer, man. You do a lot of tournament fishing. I was looking over at your Tourney X profile, and you're a stud, man. But really, what we want to know is, how did you get into kayak fishing, and how did it all start for you, man?
Like 6 years ago, I just kind of was fishing little Cory ponds and fishing a lot for walleye and crappie and kind of panfish stuff around home. And then somehow ended up in a kayak, and then kind of met up with our local club, the Iowa Kayak Anglers, and then just kind of dove in there, and then just kind of been kind of chasing tournaments all around the last couple of years. I bought a van 3 years ago now, and I pretty much just live in the van and kind of live in a van, usually down by a river, and
I live in a van down by the river.
Just go fishing every once in a while.
Man, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of guys that wish they can just get on the road and go and do that, and I'm sure there's some tough times there for you and whatnot. But it sounds like a pretty good gig, man. The 250 you did well. You've done well at a lot of the national, All-American. You had a really good year. Seeing you guys, win some stuff there. What do you recommend? We get new people that are just getting into it. We get people that have been into it a long time. As far as like national trails or just going to new bodies of water, and I'm sure you applied this to Lake of the Ozark quite a bit. What are things that you would recommend to people just getting into that want to focus on going to that next level or fishing that next trail?
A really big thing for me is doing don't listen to doc talk, or be able to take information, in a way that suits you, rather than just be like, oh man, it's a crankbait bite, I have to throw a crankbait. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't know how to throw a crankbait, it's not going to help you out. Like I know, especially the Big Bass 250, I heard so many people that were like, oh, I locked a glide bait in my hand all day. And it's like, well, do you catch fish on glide baits? Do you know what you're doing with a glide bait? Is it worth your time to spend all day throwing that when it's a bite window bait? Like, fish your strengths and fish the stuff that's confident to you, or else you're not going to have a good time. You're just going to be out there chasing other people's bites, and finding what suits you the best and the bite that's going to make you have the most fun throughout the day, I think, is the most important part.
That's really good, because a lot of people don't, like a jig. A jig's not one of my strong suits, but you've got to throw it every once in a while. But I consistently go to my confidence baits, and people, I don't feel like they do that enough. It's like, stick to what you know, and not that you can't do other things, but like if it's a confidence thing, I know last few years it was chatterbait for me. Like I couldn't get away from that. It's one of those things. But that's huge. You can definitely apply that doc talk to something that you're strong in, and all that too. Well, let's get into it, man. Tell us about the 250 and you know, what you thought, and then, you know, tell us about, you know, what the fishing was like for you.
So I decided I'm since I'm in my van, usually my van was broke down like the month of the going up to the 250. So I didn't have a vehicle, and I was like, my dad, I was hanging out at my parents. They own a farm, so I was working on the farm, and my dad's like, just go take my truck, go fishing. So I ended up coming down. I ended up staying at Truman the night before. I didn't sleep at all. I thought I could sleep in the truck and just be fine. I was tired, and I didn't sleep at all. Ended up kind of picking a ramp that was closest to the shop because I knew that I was going to be having to go there in the morning to do check-in. Didn't look at a map, didn't look at anything. I was just like this. When I looked at a map, I mean, I just kind of looked at, this has docks, this has points, it has this, it has that, stuff that I thought might hold fish. And then I got to the ramp. There was a 30 boat derby at the first ramp, and I'm like, well, I'll go someplace else. I went to the next ramp. There's probably 50 to 60 boats there. And I was like, well, I'll just sit here till everybody leaves. I'm going to actually look at the contour maps, like see where there's going to be, where I think bites would be. Ended up launching a little late, and then it was like, I knew I could get away with a mag draft and a jig. It's like, if I go throw those two around, you know, those really key areas, I knew that I could get bit. And then I didn't have a lot of my tackle even with me. So I ended up pulling, I have a bunch of swim baits that I used to fish a lot. And I had an old rat that I've caught like 1,000 fish on it. Like, it's wore through, like it's beat up. It's a really, really fishy bait. And so I grabbed that. I knew that I could get bit at some point in the day on that with the weather the way it was going to be. So early, caught a couple good fish on the mag draft. I had one lay down like on a channel swing on a point that every time I come back to it, I catch a fish or two on. So I kind of hit that a bunch. And then once that rain kicked on, I just started fishing that rat, and the rat just, you know, I caught a bunch of fish on it. It's a confidence bait in the right time. It's a tool. It's not a all day bait. It's like, you can get key bites at the right time. And that's where I think I caught a 19, a couple 16s, and then my other bigger bites came on the mag draft. So it was a really fun day though.
Wow, man, that's cool. What did you think of like the event overall? I know it's kind of, you know, our show and whatnot, but just complete honesty. Like, what did you think? And, you know, you've been to quite a number of events and whatnot. Tell us what you thought.
I was really blown away with two things. Like, the one, like how much you guys time and effort you invested into it. Like that, like, it really shows how much y'all shop really care about, you know, what we're doing, and you want to do the right thing for the sport. I really, really got that. The other thing that I really noticed was how many people really care for and really like Chris. Like, he, the stuff that he does for the people that he travels with, and the other things, like, I don't know if he wants people to know about it, but like the way that everybody talk about that guy, like, he is top notch. And it was so cool to see him, you know, win that and get big bass. You know, I think he had the younger kid with him most of the whole week. Like, just stuff like that is just such a cool deal. So yeah, that was awesome. But like I said, the show that you guys put on, and like what you did for the awards, like, that shows how much you guys care for, you know, for putting kayaking in the Midwest, you know, in the right direction. And everybody appreciates that.
Third place from Iowa, Jordan Westerman.
You know, the goal is it's about the angler. You know, there's plenty of tournament series that have qualifiers, and trail series and whatnot, and that's not our goal. It's about the angler. Celebrate the angler. Let's have a huge event. Let's give back to you guys. From guys like you, Jordan, that travel national, and then other guys that they may fish one tournament a year and that's their spot. And that's the goal. It's been amazing to see it grow, and excited to have you guys a part of it as well. Chris's story is amazing, and JT, he's in the background producing this, but he got the time to talk to him on the phone, and I actually talked to him yesterday, begging him to come on the podcast with us and just talk to us about his day. And he's like, "Man, that's just not me," and it's totally cool. So I think we're going to try and get Coda on here, and maybe Coda will spill the beans for him. But yeah. Marty was telling me about Chris's story. And he packed lunches for everyone the night before. Like, Marty sent me a picture of it, and it's really cool. And we actually did an article with JT and talked to it on our ecofishingshop.com, and it's really cool. So it's really about it just highlights the sport, because there's guys like that all over the place that are doing that same thing and all that. Yeah, I know we talked about this before we got on here, but JT really wants to know where you caught that muskie, and we're gonna put that picture in here at some point too. But he wants to know where you're muskie fishing at, man.
Just kind of central to East Tennessee. There's a bunch of small little rivers in here that are they're loaded. It's really tough fishing though. Especially this time of the year. It's very clear waters, very low flow, low rivers. So it's like you can go see 20 plus fish a day, but you might get 2 follows. You might have one that wants to eat. Like it's good, but it can be bad.
That's why they call it the fish of 10,000 casts, right? Like,
yeah,
I can't tell you how many hours I've spent trying to get one of those things, and I've caught one that was maybe like 36 inches. I mean, but it ended up being like foul hooked, which I'm sure I foul hooked it because it took a swipe. But like, I don't know if I really even get to count the one that I've got. So yeah, that's awesome. That was a really nice fish. And I'm curious, in your kayak, did it really pull you around?
So in that one, I was in what is it, the iTrek 11 or 12?
Yeah, the inflatable one.
Yeah, so it took me for a little bit of a ride, but in like a PA-14, it doesn't. You can. They're not necessarily a runner as much as a thrasher. So you get them next to the boat, and they make those big head shake thrashes. Yep. And that's the big thing. I've got these cat toys up here. I try to catch them on the fly too. I spend most of my time throwing them on the fly. The other one, that picture from the other day, was unconventional stuff, but. I really enjoy. I'll
graduate to a fly when I can get a few normally.
yeah. You just got to take your, fish areas where there are good concentrations of fish. In Minnesota there, I think that's where you said you were trying for them at. There's some really good areas, and there's some really good areas for big fish. Very low density but big size. So it's like, you can find those high density lakes, then you've got a lot better shot, especially this time of the year.
I've got a power dam that's like 15 minutes from me that I know they sit from. I don't want to give it away too much, because my older brother, it was his spot. He'll kill me if I give away a secret spot. But yeah, like, same thing though. Like, not many fish, but most of them are 45 plus. So I've watched you do it, so I know they're there.
If it's the one that I'm guessing it is, there are some good sized fish up in that area.
Oh,
the smallmouth fish in there, fish in there is absolutely phenomenal at the right times of the year.
I've seen sturgeon, smallmouth, largemouth, pike, walleye, and muskie. So it's a cool little spot. But
I've caught some big channel cats up there too,
nice.
And pike. Yeah, everything. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Well, Jordan, that's really all I have for you, and I appreciate you being on here. You just hang out here, and we'll talk to Adam. Adam, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being on here. You're a Missouri guy as well, so tell us about your, how you got into kayaking and what it kind of started out for you, man.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me here. I've been stuck in the restaurant industry for the last 12 or 13 years or so, and so yeah, fishing was just kind of a hobby for me, and I was just doing a lot of bank fishing and wondering how I can get into bass fishing one day. How can I ever afford a boat? First, I had to get a truck, And yeah, I decided this year to pull the plug, and I left my job in the service industry, and I started looking for a new career. And at the same time, I joined KMO and Moyak, kind of at the last minute, and fished both seasons with both clubs. I also fished the All American Kayak Classic, um, the 2-day event. So that was my first national event, and that was actually my first event that was in person. And that was insane, seeing 185 kayaks and the excitement on everyone in the teams trying to win that event. It was awesome. I did online events for KMO and Moyak, which were extremely competitive all year, and that really taught me how to get going with this, because started catching some big fish around here in St. Louis, and got real competitive real quick with some of the other guys, and learned that these other guys can catch way bigger fish than I can. But it got me real competitive. I started going to all the events, attended all the Moyak events, all the KMO events. Finished kind of middle of the pack in Moyak, but ended up coming out with Rookie of the Year and Angler of the Year in KMO. And then big, strong second place finish in the Big Bass 250, which was kind of my Super Bowl I was looking forward to all year. I kind of planned out all these tournaments in the winter time last year on Tourney X, just kind of seeing what my year might look like. And yeah, to end up in second place, and just to even think that maybe I had 15 grand coming my way was pretty insane.
In second place, all the way from Missouri, Adam Denningmann is taking home $2,500.
Yeah, it's just a small sample of what those guys are doing on TV, but I grew up watching the Bassmasters and watching those guys compete for the top prize, and it was just an unreal experience there for yeah, 6 or 7 hours that day, and then coming back to the event and just wondering was pretty nerve-wracking and exciting as well.
Yeah, the watching the leaderboard all day long, and then it goes down. Fortunately, I still get to see everything, and we're all the eco people that work for us. They're all there at the venue, and we're all talking. They're like, "Who's leading it? It's the same guy," And you were sitting there for a while, and then I think it was like, I want to say it was like a half hour, 20 minutes left. Chris caught 2, and that one was the big one, and then one put him past you, and I got to talking to him about it. He's like, it was off the same stump on a buzzbait. He goes, last
Wow.
20 minutes, like within probably 10, 15 minutes each other, if that. But it was late in the day. But yeah, you were sitting there on top, and I was watching it, and I was like, I got on there, checked, and I was like, holy smokes, it just changed. But it was cool, man. It was cool to see. You sounds like you've had a really good rookie year getting into it, and excited for you to see what happens the next few years. But tell us about like the fishing for you. What was the juice for you, and what were you keen on?
Yeah, and then first of all, just coming home and seeing on Facebook, my other clubs and everything, like, hey, look at Adam, he's leading going into the dark and everything. I mean, that is so exciting. So like, yeah, I can't even begin to explain what a day it was. I wasn't able to practice. The whole event for me was really chaotic, because I thought everything was going to go great. I was up there the week before on Sunday, and I fished the event way upriver. I was trying to get as far away from everyone as possible. I knew the Big Bass $100,000 event was just up there, and everyone was just hammering everything, and the pressure was just getting crazy. I spent a little bit of time in that PB2 area where I assumed most people would be fishing in practice, and I really didn't see much I liked. That was early in the day on Sunday. I went up the river to a spot that I had a good hunch about, and I actually caught a 20-inch bass, which, yeah, I mean, what kind of confidence that gives me? It gave me great confidence, and it actually kind of gave me less confidence, because a lot of times when I go to a lake before an event, catch a good one, you go out there the next day expecting to hammer it. It doesn't really happen. But being it was a Sunday and almost a whole week before the event, I really felt good about going back to that spot and felt like there could be some fish there. Unfortunately, I just started a brand new job, which was awesome. But the downside of it was I needed to get to the event on Friday and get checked in. I was trying to work something out with getting my board checked in. I had something that worked out. Some kids got sick, and it ended up falling through. And I had to reach out to another member who, thank God, helped me out. But that was at the last minute. And so it was all kind of stressful, but it all worked out. my plan on the day was to go in there with the chatterbait and the underspin, which are kind of the two baits that were working for me late in the fall. The bite really kind of slowed down for me, and I had to kind of figure out how I was even going to catch a fish in the first place. And I knew if I could catch some fish early and get some confidence that I could have a decent day. And luckily, right where I started it out was in kind of the back of a cove, and I was able to pull 3 keepers off in the first maybe 30 minutes. And they were only 15s, and then I got a 17, but that started giving me the confidence to know that I could probably be throwing this chatterbait all day. And I circled back on some spots and tried to double it up on it with the underspin, but they just weren't into it. I tried to throw the topwater because, I mean, we all saw the conditions. It definitely seemed like the topwater bite could be there. But for me, the second it doesn't start showing up with the topwater, I just go right back to my confidence bait. And kind of like what you were saying, my biggest struggle of the year was throwing the chatterbait too much. It's really hard for me to get it out of my hands. The main reason with that is the chatterbait is so versatile, especially in a kayak, that I always feel like no matter what the situation is, I can make my chatterbait work. And so luckily the bite was on it for that day. And I was catching fish off rock early. And then I kind of got to some boat docks, and I kind of said it in my head. It was kind of weird how it happened. I said, "Hey man, quit screwing around with your eye remote, and you're about to make a big moment happen right here." And I threw that chatterbait right in between 2 docks, and sure enough, that 21 incher came all right off the end of it. And man, I don't even think any thoughts went through my head other than, oh God, I just knew it was a big 20. It's a 20 incher for me. It's either a small fish or a 20 incher. And I knew right away, this is a 20 incher. I got it in the net, and I was like, wow, this the fact that I kind of envisioned that happening, and then right away it happens. I felt like maybe the pieces were aligning, but I knew a 21 incher on this kind of day wasn't going to be enough. In the back of my head, I'm thinking about Chad Davison's 20 and a half incher last year. And I'm like, you never know. But yeah, I just kept fishing. I had to really slow down after that, because once you catch a big one, I mean, I'm working that bait too fast. I'm getting jumpy. I didn't think I was going to win 15 grand, but I knew I had a really good shot with that fish at winning first. And right before the rain hit, I had another 20 incher, no doubt about it, 20 incher come off the end of a dock in some shallow water. And again, I'm just like, oh my God, all year long, the challenge for me was catching 2 20s in the same day, because anytime I catch a big one, they usually didn't follow it up with another one. And I knew if I caught another big one, I was really going to launch into the leaderboard. And the problem I had with the keeper I caught right before that was an 18 incher. And I got real jumpy with the net, because I started feeling that, oh man, I might start running away with this. I pulled that net out, and that fish was still a good 10 feet away from me easily. And I had to really pull my pull and reach that net out to get it. And I'm like, man, you can't be making mistakes like that, because any little mistake can cost you. And man, that big 20 incher came off of that dock, and it came right to my boat. I got the net in my hand. I thought everything was going to be perfect. I grabbed that net just a little bit too soon, and it caused the tension to come off my rod just a little bit. And I think that fish thought it was free, and it took a total 180, and it just shot away. And usually that's when my line breaks, and you don't even get past that part. Somehow it didn't. The rod's still in my hand, and it's pulling it. It's pulling the drag out. I survived it, and I turned the fish over, which was another huge challenge, and I survived that as well. And so I got this big bucket mouth on top of the water, and I started to horse it. I was just so nervous. I started reeling in so fast, and I pulled that fish a little bit, and that chatterbait came flying out of its mouth. And man, talk about a heartbreaker. I knew, again, I think it was only maybe a 20, 21 incher, but I felt like that was the dagger on the tournament. And really had to calm myself down after that, but I did come through with another 17 3/4. And again, catching that fish late in the day and having it come off, I just knew someone's out there catching them. That rain hit. It was miserable. I saw a couple guys calling it early next to where I was fishing, which I think of a lot of field probably started doing that. But I just knew with that nasty weather, someone had to have been on them. And yeah, sure enough. But
Yeah,
again, what an amazing day for me, so
yeah, definitely
I'm still thinking about that fish, unfortunately.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like around 2 o'clock that rain rolled in. It cooled down. I kind of had the same thought. I thought either it's going to get really good or it's going to get really bad, and you're going to have some guys that say, yeah, you know, I don't have my rain gear, I don't want to mess with this, but it turned out to be you know, a pretty good day overall for you guys. You know, Adam, same thing for you. Like, what was your favorite part about the 250, and you know, what if there's something you'd like to see done next year? You know, what would that be as well?
Yeah, again, I looked forward to it all year. To me, it was like my Super Bowl. I knew just to have that shot at that $10,000 or the $5,000, or you know, however many people we could have capped it out at. I looked forward to the event all year. I was really impressed with how it got marketed online. It was in every fishing group, and not only was it you doing a great job of promoting it, but all the other fellow anglers trying to do their best to get it in every fishing group they can and help spread the awareness of the event. It's an amazing event, and getting 250 there would be even more incredible. I was really impressed with how quickly everything was set up post event. Again, I was in there. I didn't eat. I was stressed out of my mind. I was really just hoping that Johnathan was going to come up and ask me to do a lie detector test, to be honest. But just, you know, I haven't won that kind of money before, and I haven't been in those kinds of high stakes. And again, that just speaks for how amazing the tournament was. It seemed like almost everyone walked away with a prize from a sponsor. And yeah, I mean, for me, I walked away with the battery, which is something I needed big time. I fished all year with no electronics on my kayaks, so something that I needed personally really big. And again, that just the way the awards went, the payouts, everything went just as fast, if not faster, than some of the smaller local events I've done. So I was just blown away with the professionalism of everything. And man, I can't wait to do it again next year.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're looking forward to that already. We're already trying to get dates and everything lined up, just waiting for those national schedules to come out. Now we can dodge and dip those ones, and looks like it's going to be towards the end of September, so maybe a little bit better weather, but maybe a little bit tougher fishing. But we're already looking forward to next year. Jordan, I'm going to ask you, come back to you real quick. You know, would you recommend this to, you know, other people that are looking to fish a big event, you know, towards the end of the year? Maybe they didn't qualify for a TOC or a classic or anything like that. I mean, what would you tell people?
Yeah, excuse me. I have been telling everybody that I've ran into that kayak fishes lately. It's like, you know, if you're going to be in the area or around, if it's close enough drive, like you got to go to the Big Bass 250, just because of the giveaways you guys do. And it's like the shot at a $10,000 fish. We don't have that anywhere else. You know, that gives everybody there is one cast or one flip away. And, you know, you saw it with Chris, like he was two casts away from $15,000, you know,
Yeah.
like that's how it happened. And it's like it was an awesome event. Like I said, I have been telling all my friends that I've came across that weren't there, like, and it was a good time.
Jordan, what were you hoping to take home out of all the stuff we gave away?
I would have been happy with any other anything. So I always look at, it's very tough it's the leaving with a kayak is always is a fun deal, because you're like, oh man, where am I going to put this thing? You know, I've had it where I went to an event where I took 2 kayaks because I brought a friend's kayak, and I won a kayak, and then they were like stacking 3 deep, and I used to have an old S10. It was like how we got them home is so, yeah, you know, I was happy with the little Bixby thing that I prize pack I got. You know, anything y'all give away was good for me. I had a great time fishing the Ozarks. You know, I never had been on that lake before, and it fished it was a lot of fun. It patterns very easily, and just the amount of people and the amount of fish that I was able to catch I was blown away.
Adam, tell me about, I didn't get to eat, but tell me about the food. Was the food any good?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. I was so nervous. I couldn't eat a thing if I wanted to. It smelled amazing. I had the butterflies going. Again, yeah, I spent almost a year looking for a new job. So like maybe in a different time of my life, it would have been different, but I'm like, oh my God, just what that money could have did for me. And thank God, I finished second, and that was a huge chunk of change to take away, and that'll help me out big time, helping me get electronics in my kayak and just helping me move forward. And yeah, the one thing I was hoping to take away joining the kayak league was one of those big checks, and I have one in my room, and I will cherish that thing forever. So some of my friends kind of gave me a little business early in the year when they saw some big checks get posted on Facebook for $150, $250, but no one was laughing at me at this one, so
No.
it was pretty cool.
Definitely not. Well, guys, seriously, appreciate you guys coming down and taking the time to come to our event. Appreciate you guys getting on here with us. And Jordan, let me give you a moment. If you have any sponsors, anybody you want to shout out to or say thanks to or anything like that, man.
No sponsors for me. Just shout out to my family. They support, help. They're always there, a call away. So yeah, to my mom and dad, and the rest of my family, and yeah, for all my other friends and everybody.
Cool, man. Adam, anybody you want to shout out or say thanks to?
Yeah, it's kind of the same with me. My family's always supported me through the years. Behind me, you can kind of see a little bit of a fishing workshop. My dad, he started hand pouring worms in the garage, and he started a little company called K-Man Baits on Facebook, and he's helped support me through all this. And I love to own that chatterbait, but you can't always get by with the chatterbait. And when I have to throw some soft plastics or slow it down, yeah, his Senkos are great, and makes a good big magworm. And yeah, I mean, my family really had to support me this year, kind of fighting through jobs and looking for a new one. It wasn't always easy making all these events, and especially the Big Bass 250. Especially I have to thank Chad Davison for helping me to get that board to me. And but there's so many people to thank. The community is awesome. It's my first year in this community. I've got 200 people on my Facebook that I didn't have before, and they're all amazing in their own way. And it's been awesome meeting everyone. And yeah, like I said, I hope we can get 250 people out here next year, and I can't wait to meet everyone at the event.
Yeah, it would be really cool to cap out at 250 and, pay 10 grand for one fish and then pay 10 grand for 5 fish. And who knows, maybe someone walks away with 20 grand, that'd be pretty cool for, an open tournament. And I can't imagine, we've done a lot better this year with marketing the event and getting with our sponsors and whatnot. I can't imagine what they're going to do next year. If they even come, heavier, maybe, Old Town's putting an autopilot in there or something like crazy like that, which would, maybe Hobie's doing a pro angler next year. But no, man, we're excited to celebrate you guys as anglers, excited to have a great event here in the Midwest. But again, guys, thanks for coming on here. Thanks for being on here. Really appreciate it. JT, you got anything else, man? You got any other questions for the Muskie Master?
Yeah. Other than just pure jealousy on my part. No, I mean, you guys brought up a good point too, like community, right? I think that's the one thing that I have found the most unique about kayak fishing, that is different than bass boat fishing or just bass anglers or boat anglers or just any of that stuff in general. Is what I have found is everyone's extremely willing to help out other anglers. And you see that at almost every tournament. We've heard stories from last year, and now you guys just shared some stories too about how, I mean, I just don't think I think that's really unique. And that's kind of why this podcast was started. That's why, like, we started a forum of the same name, Kayak Anglers Resource. I know some people kind of laugh, right? Because forum or community can be a little bit of an old breed of communication, but I think the idea is building these resources for people to find, because I'm only a year in, all right? So I've had to lean on almost I'm sure I've annoyed Johnathan to the nth degree with all the questions I have. Yeah, well, I have more for you after this is done too. So, but I just think, like, maybe quick before we let you guys go, like, what would you say to some of the new anglers? I mean, I'm one of them, right? And I find tournaments extremely intimidating. So how do you take that first step?
Jordan, go ahead.
I think the biggest thing is just like go fish a local tournament and go to the awards. There's so many people that are willing to just talk fishing at the awards, or if you can camp the night before and you find people that are camping, it's like it's so easy to find some people that are in your area, or it's like, hey, they fish these lakes. Well, I'd like to go fish these lakes. And, you know, it makes it very easy to meet up with, you know, like-minded people that, that you know, wouldn't have ever met any other way. You know, I know I've got some great friends that I've either traveled the country with, or that I just travel locally, that I wouldn't have met if I didn't go to a tournament and just, you know, kind of put myself out there. You know, like I said, everybody seems like they're willing to talk fishing, and for the most part, especially at the local level, like, people are willing to tell you what they're doing to put you on fish. They don't want you to have a bad day. You know I've had multiple days where, you know, I stop and talk to everybody I see when I'm fishing in a tournament. And it's like, if somebody's having a bad day and you're not, like, it's so easy to just be like, look, man, or look, just go have fun. This is what I'm catching them on. And, you know, it's like, I try to do that more than I don't. And it seems like, yeah, just making sure that we're all having a good experience and go have fun. Having fun is the hardest thing about tournaments, but it's the easiest way to have a good day, or, you know, have a good finish, is just go have fun. And, you know, you can't do that sitting on the couch. You know, fish, if you want to start out with something, online stuff is awesome. Don't get frustrated when somebody puts up 100 inches plus in a day, you know, and it's not because they're at some honey hole. It's like, do your research and figure out why they're catching bigger fish than you. Don't get frustrated. Go fishing.
Yeah. That's great. That's great advice, man. Adam, you're still pretty new to the, you know, pretty green. What would you tell, you know, someone that's just starting like you are?
Yeah, I think the same. I mean, what he said is really true. I was terrified to get into this stuff too. I actually owned my kayak for a whole year before this year, and I didn't even hardly go fishing in it. I went to a lake a couple of times and didn't catch much, and just didn't think I could do it. So I went right back to bank fishing, where my comfort zone. So definitely don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. I didn't know what I was doing at a lot of these tournaments. A lot of the guys were really helpful to me at the boat ramp. Everyone's helpful in all these clubs, and I try to return the favor the same way. I felt like I saw some people that were maybe doing the first tournament at the Big Bass 250. And if you are watching this, that was a really rough tournament to start your first one on, just the conditions and everything. And if you get out there in the main lake, it was really rough out there. So yeah, definitely stick with it. I struggled through a lot of the year. I kind of grinded it out. It was really fun going to these new lakes. If you're feeling like you're a little lost out there, there's a really good chance that the rest of the field is just as lost, and you'll see that when you see the scores at the end of the day. So I stopped watching the tourney tracker, and that helped me. Maybe that's something when you're more advanced fishing and you're used to seeing yourself get knocked out of high spots or whatever. But yeah, I definitely recommend don't watch that all day, and don't get fixated on seeing where you're at against everybody. Just go out there, trust in your stuff, and that's definitely the way to go. I love throwing the chatterbait, and I wanted to make it work all year. I definitely went out there and tried other things too. You don't want to just solely get stuck on your lure, but just have confidence. And yeah, things can change real quick, as we all know as fishermen. One day you're catching them, and one day you're not.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, that's awesome, guys. I really appreciate that, and I'm sure JT appreciates that too. Just, you know, thinking about maybe getting in his first kayak tournament. But again, thank you guys so much. Hopefully, you guys will be back for next year for the Big Bass 250. We'll make sure to start marketing that stuff and get everything out to you guys as well. That way, you guys are aware of it. But guys, thank you so much for taking your time and being on here. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. It was a real honor being on here and being at the event.
JT, you gonna sign up for your very first kayak tournament pretty soon?
Oh man, I've failed real hard at even just doing some online pike tournaments. So we'll see.
I think next year your first tournament should be the Big Bass 250. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. I have not. I just learned about it. It sounds awesome.
It is awesome, man.
Oh man, even like, you know, it's all the little things that people don't think about too, like measuring fish. That's all that stuff that I know you need to practice. And obviously I was doing a pike one, so it's a little different. You know, I caught a 34-inch one, and before I even got that measured and submitted, it was off the board and into the water, and all it did is just left a slimy mess in my kayak. So it's just all the little things. But yeah, I mean, why not? If you're going to take a swing at 10,000. Takes one cast. Yep.
I talked to Chris yesterday. I think we're going to get Coda on here, get him on the pod, and maybe he'll spill the beans on Chris and all that too. But hopefully Travis will be back by then, and we'll get this thing going again and rolling and be on the regular, man. And I appreciate all your help on here, JT. It looks really good, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. I love being the man behind the scenes, and occasionally I'll pop on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, that's all I got, man, unless you got anything else.
No, nothing for me.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks again, Adam, and Jordan for coming on here. And like I said, look forward to seeing you guys next year. But that's all we got, man.